Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
It's now time to check whether yesterday's bullishness is something that we can see carrying over today. The SGX Nifty is a very mild shade of green, and it has not been really the weathercock or the bellwether for this market. Ashwini Gujral, Sudarshan Sukhani and Mitesh Thakkar with us. Good morning, gentlemen. Ashwini, what's your hunch? Are we going to see the continuation up until that 10,850 mark where resistance is normally coming? Or do you think yesterday was only because US is not working and therefore people were, taking up positions?
Good morning, Lata. I have a different theory on yesterday, and which I understood after taking the trade. That for the last 4 or 5 sessions, the financials were under pressure because of this MSP which was being announced. And once the MSP got out of the way, there was a short squeeze which happened and took the Bank Nifty higher. Bank Nifty higher. Now today, possibly there is a limited opportunity because chances are a lot of people are in, and the bulls may not be able to take yesterday's high out in the early morning. I would think possibly a consolidation between 10,740, 780 till maybe something comes out from Reliance, etc., and then the market picks up again. So the early morning could be a little soft, but yes, overall an upswing is started, and possibly we could get to 10,850 at some point, given that financials are likely to show more strength because the rally just started yesterday out there. But overall, the opportunity was greater yesterday. Today, at worst, will be within yesterday's range, and at best, if there is some exciting announcement, maybe the market could get closer to 10,800 thereabouts.
So how should we understand? Are you a buyer in dips on the Nifty? On the Bank Nifty, are you a buyer right away?
See, on the Bank Nifty, if I don't have a position, any sort of 80 to 100 point dip, closer to say 26,350 thereabouts, you should buy. And also on the Nifty, 10,740, till that holds on, we should assume that yesterday's uptrend should continue.
Okay. Sudarshan Sukhani and Mitesh Thakkar also join in. Gentlemen, morning to both of you. Sudarshan, is this the real thing? I mean, is there more of an upside to go, or is this a dead cat bounce?
Yeah, good morning. Well, it seems like the real thing. But first, let me compliment Lata. Yesterday, she was the market analyst and she took the honors in technical analysis also. Because I was mildly bullish in, I was mildly bullish in the Nifty Bank. And I think my colleagues were also so. And Lata twice pointed out that the news suggests that banks should do well. And that's exactly what happened. So good for you, Lata.
Thanks a lot, Sudarshan. My analysis is more fundamental and it usually takes time for the markets to rise. Yesterday, maybe I was also lucky. Go ahead.
Yes, the momentum that we are seeing suggests that we should go and test those earlier resistance levels for the Nifty and the Bank Nifty both. 10,850 for the Nifty and 26,800 for the Nifty Bank. This means that there is a significant potential left in the Nifty Bank to go to another 350 points almost to reach those resistance levels. But today could be a choppy day. There's no sense in rushing into trade if you don't have a position. You wait patiently for those dips, and dips sometimes take the shape of consolidations. So wait for a dip or consolidation and enter on the long side in the market. 10,650 is our bottom line, is our stop for a positional trade in the Nifty. Till then we stay long, and 26,100 is the same for the Nifty Bank. So the view is take small dips in the Nifty and the Nifty Bank to go long and look for targets of earlier resistance levels.
Okay, fair enough. Mitesh Thakkar is also with us. Mitesh, good morning. What is your own expectation from the index today and how one can trade it?
Good morning, Sonia. Very similar to what Ashwini and Sudarshan said, I'm also looking at a test of 10,830, 850 to begin with. And that being the upper end of the range, if we get a breakout, then we'll see more follow through. But for the time being, that remains the target. As far as trading goes, I think the Bank Nifty could be a better alternative to trade purely because of the fact that the risk reward equation is fairly placed over here. We've just managed to get past a slew of intraday averages yesterday. So take a 100-point stop loss. I think the Bank Nifty might also head towards the upper end of the range, which is close at about 26,750, 800 zone. So still gives you about 300 points on the upside to trade, and you can take a 100-point kind of a stop loss.
All right. So buy on dips and prefer the Nifty Bank. That seems to be largely the opinion. Now let's get to the stocks itself. Ashwini, what would be your choice?
Well, Lupin is a buy with a stop of 928, target of 960. Maruti is a buy with a stop of 9150, target of 9400. IndusInd Bank is a buy with a stop of 1920, target of 1965. Bajaj Finserv is a buy with a stop of 6000, target of 6150. And Bharat Forge is a buy with a stop of 630, target of 656.
Okay, that's an all buys call, but you're not including Bajaj Auto in it. That was the biggest gainer yesterday. You think it's run its course?
See, it does not seem to be making new highs. It's stuck in a rut for, I think, last couple of years. It's been range bound. So, you know, it needs to start breaking into fresh ground in order to become a strong buy. The rest of them, they have completed corrections. Bajaj Auto is, you know, in a sideways choppy type situation.
Okay. Sudarshan, what about you? Yesterday, you know, what we noticed is a lot of the heavyweight stocks supported the market, whether it was Reliance, HUL, HDFC, anything that you would trade today, and what else are you looking at?
Well, the sense is after 4 days of rallies, markets could be a little laid back today. So I'm not looking at heavyweights, but when the Nifty rises again, it will be the heavyweights. This is not a mid-cap and small-cap rally. Let's not get confused on that. Focus only on the Nifty blue chips. But for today, I have ACC as a buy. I must point out that cement is now bottoming out. But taking a trade is not easy. So either you take a short-term intraday trade if it works well, or you get stopped out for a very minor, say, pain. Or you actually buy the equity and hold on to it. But cement is bottoming out now, like Pharma was doing 3 months ago. So ACC is a buy. UBL and Kotak Bank are favorite buying opportunities. Both are outperforming and likely to continue that outperformance. 2 short sales, only intraday. Cummins, which is in a bear market, and Canfin Home, again in a bear market. I'm not very keen on NBFCs gaining anything in this rally.
Oh, really? Now that's an important takeaway. I will come back to ask all of you your view on Reliance as well. But first, Mitesh, your stocks today?
Yeah. I have more buys, and Dr. Reddy's, I think, amongst the pharma packs just appears to be starting the move again after about 1.5 weeks of correction. So buy with a stop at 2284, look for target of 2400. Max Financial broke a very important support at 425, so on pullbacks will be a good shot. Try the range of 413, 417 as your shorting area. Keep a stop at 427 and look for targets of 385. A buy on Repco Home, which appears to have done some base building around the 540, 560 mark. It needs to break above 580, that's the pivot, so buy above that, keep a stop at 565, look for targets of 610. Buy on Maruti with a stop at 9180 for targets of 9300. And a buy on Muthoot Finance as well, keep a stop at 391, look for targets of 410.
Okay, so clearly you differ on some NBFCs at least. Okay, now for Reliance, because we are going to see the AGM, and usually that's the only time the management speaks and can move the market. What does the chart say, Ashwini?
See, Reliance broadly is in a range of, say, 930 to about 1,000, 1,020. Yes, it's stronger than many stocks. But if it opens today, say at 1,020, then I don't think the opportunity is so great. It had 5 vertical down days, and it reached about 930. That was the place to buy. By buying at 1,020, if it declines again to 930, you'll be stuck at the top. So if you have Reliance and it's a trading style position, maybe before the AGM would be a good idea to take some money off.
Okay, I think we'll come back to the other two analysts on Reliance in a bit. We have another expert joining us, an economist, and that's, of course, to analyze the MSP. The government has decided to increase the minimum support price for 14 kharif crops, and some of them substantially, especially pulses and even oil seeds. A. Prasanna, Chief Economist at ISIC PD, joins us on the phone line. Prasanna, yesterday, even after the announcement, the bond yields actually fell by about 3 basis points. What have you made generally of the impact on inflation?
So yes, on a CPI-weighted basis, if you just look at cereals and pulses, the increase is about 90 basis points on the headline. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that inflation will go up by 90 basis points. Obviously, it depends on the transmission to wholesale prices and then to retail prices. But what we generally see is that when it comes to rice and wheat, of course, the procurement mechanism is very much in place. So assuming the government procures a similar quantity like it did last year, this year also, we would expect market prices of rice to go up. And the contribution of paddy within this 90 basis points is around 60 basis points. So one can reasonably assume that inflation will go up. Now, what we don't know is about the other crops, because as of now, I mean, the kind of procurement mechanism is not in place for pulses or of course, cereals. Now, if the government is really keen that this MSP hike should be implemented, we would expect them in conjunction with states to start procuring pulses also, which would mean even those prices could go up. Now, obviously, if you look at market prices of some of these crops, particularly in pulses, they might be trading above MSP on an average level, but then there will be regional variances. So I think it's logical to assume that in places where the prices are trading below MSP, that's where the clamor will be there for procurement. So on an average, we would expect even pulses prices to go up. So conservatively, we are penciling in around a 50 basis point impact on headline inflation over the next 12 months.
Okay, so 50 basis points impact on headline inflation. What about the cost to the fisc? I was just reading a report which suggested that about 300 million tons of agri production will be impacted because of this MSP hike. What percentage of GDP would that be, and what would the cost be to the fisc?
Yeah, so our estimate on cost would be around 500 to 600 billion. Now that is, again, obviously there are a lot of moving parts in that. Also, we have to realize that this is a cost which will be shared by the central and the state governments, because in many cases it will be the state governments who are doing the procuring and storing the crops, and center will probably compensate them for any losses which might arise out of that. So in terms of GDP, it would be around 0.3% of GDP, and our sense is that the split will be roughly equal between center and states.
Okay. Now, you have to tell us how this gels with your previous updates. Because of this MSP, is your forecast on inflation now different, or had you already penciled in that 0.5%? Likewise, because of the announcement, is your fiscal deficit estimate changing?
So in terms of inflation, no. I mean, always MSP was cited as a risk. I think that's how the MPC was also viewing it. That's how I think on the street also we were viewing it. So yeah, so Q4 around 4.7%, I would say that is a kind of consensus, and that is the MPC's number also. So yeah, so there is upside risk to it. So when I said 50 basis points, obviously that I mean, there is a timing issue also. When the procurement starts in October, obviously it will take some time. So it's not necessarily that the peak impact will come by Q4. So at this point of time, we would say that it's a good probability that the Q4 inflation could be 5% and above. Now, on the fiscal part, yes, I mean, we had already assumed the 0.1% slippage due to MSP. So in any case, our expectation this year is, I think there will be a fiscal slippage of 0.2 to 0.3% of GDP.
Okay, all right. Just one final question. I mean, we've spoken about numbers, but overall, what's your view? Because most people yesterday indicated that, it's procurement, not price that actually matters. And on that front, things have been very sticky. You think there could be any improvement there as far as procurement is concerned?
You mean to say that the government is not successful in the other crops? So you're asking whether they'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think it's a political question, right? I mean, if they really feel it's so important for them, that is one of the planks on which they're going to fight the election, they have to improve the procurement.
Okay.
And in any case, I think there has been a case to move away from a rice and wheat-centric food policy. Probably what is needed is you have to reduce procurement of those two crops and increase procurement of other crops. But unfortunately, I think given the politics of it, what we will see is that there won't be any change in the FCI's procurement of rice and wheat. On top of that, we'll start procuring other crops also. So it could turn out to be a hugely inefficient operation.
Oh, yes. That we'll have to wait and see. Now, just finally, what comes from the Reserve Bank? Will they change their inflation forecast to 5 in the next policy? Will they be increasing rates? And therefore, where do market yields go?
So we do expect one more rate hike in this financial year, and as of now, I mean, after the minutes of the previous policy, we had penciled it in for October. But I guess, I mean, there is a good case for them to hike it in August as well. Now, whether they will change the forecast, it's difficult to say. Again, looking at whatever the commentary has been from the minutes in the past few meetings, there could again be a split in the committee. Right. Now, so then it kind of boils down to whether when they hike first time they achieved a consensus and hike with a 6-0 vote. So again, do they decide to wait to kind of convince members, all the members, and then go for a hike? So then in that case, maybe we might have to wait till October. So maybe in August, maybe they don't change the inflation forecast too much. And in October anyway, we get the NPR also. Okay. It's a much more detailed look at all the inflation drivers.
Okay, all right, Prasanna. Thanks a lot for that. So that is the impact that the MSP increase would have on inflation and on GDP. 50 basis points immediate impact on inflation is what Prasanna believes. I did catch up with Rajesh Jejurikar, the president of the farm equipment sector at Mahindra & Mahindra, who welcomed this MSP hike and said that there is a substantial take a look.
Q1 has been very good, but we were expecting that. Even a month back, we had said we were expecting Q1 to be in the mid-teens. It's a little higher than that. So we'll see how the rest of the year pans out. But Q1, like you said, has been a good start, and MSPs is good news. Yeah. Rains is good news. So let's hope for the best. The quarter skews depend on the second peak, depends on when the Diwali happens. Okay. The first peak is always in June, which is the sowing time. And that's when people buy tractors to enable their sowing process. So that's what you've seen now. So this industry doesn't go through a 4 even quarters kind of thing.
Well, as we head into trade this morning, let's get some F&O cues out of the way as well. Manoj Muralidharan of Religare Securities joins in now. Manoj, good morning. After the good day that we had yesterday, do you expect more upsides today? And what stocks would you be looking at to trade?
Good morning, Sonia. Sonia, I guess when we started this contract of July, the Bank Nifty had shied away from almost 8 to 9 lakhs in terms of open interest that we compare month on month, and Nifty future were more or less in line. So what we believe is, if you say Tuesday and Wednesday, these are the 2 days when the Bank Nifty has managed to add up around 8 to 9% in open interest, so cumulative that is, and the Nifty futures rather have managed to add around 4%. So we believe that at least in the short term the momentum is on the buy side, and fortunately there was a follow-up dip, buying which was seen yesterday. So we believe that this can continue. So a better strategy here today being the weekly expiries. You buy a 26,500 call option. I guess yesterday's closing is around 50-51, but then you try and buy it between a 40 to 50 odd rupees. There should be no stop loss. We wait for this till end of the day. The target should be somewhere close to 120. So we are expecting practically the Bank Nifty to touch 26,620 to 640 in futures in today's trade, and we believe that the support is more towards a 380 to 400 on the futures. Even for the Nifty futures, we would say this is more or less an intraday call or maybe a positional couple of days. 10,753, 53 or 50 roughly would be the price that we recommend buying there with a stop loss of 725, and we're expecting a target somewhere close to 810 to 820. Now, Sonia, stocks, as you asked me, I guess we'll go with Hero MotoCorp. The stock has seen good long build up yesterday, and we believe that there is good cash based accumulation which has happened. So 34.40 is what the closing was yesterday, with a stop loss of, let's say, 33.79. we are expecting a target close to 35.80 on that. Coal India as well, we believe there would be a follow-up buying into possible today or tomorrow's trade, and we are expecting the target to be 274. The stop loss should be 257, and I guess the buying recommendation would be somewhere close to a 263 on that.
All right. Thank you very much, Manoj, for giving us all those stock picks for the F&O space. We'll touch base with you later. Have a good trading day. Well, with that, let's invite the first management on the show. This is Kitex Garments. They have appointed a new auditor after the previous auditor showed unwillingness for reappointment. Now, anything auditor is of market interest, and so we've got Sabu Jacob, the Chairman and Managing Director of Kitex Garments, joining us on the phone line. Sabu, good morning. Thank you very much. Given your release to the exchange, where you are saying that the board met and you've asked for a change of auditors, can you explain what exactly happened?
Actually, their time is over this year. And the company is coming out with a huge expansion program. We have appointed KPMG for our, business consultant and, go with this business investment. So the coming 5 years is very important for us. Okay? So the board has decided we need, much better, firm because, we are dealing with the international business. So we decided to go for a much better firm. The BDO, that's number 5 in the world. So we have actually considered, the other big 4. So then, we thought, because KPMG already in, as a consultant, and we don't want, within that another 3. Okay? So we gone for, the number 5 in the world. The BDO is number 5.
Okay, so your new auditor, MSK, is an arm of the global consulting firm BDO, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, that is BDO. That's why, I think some misunderstanding in the market. So company actually gone for much better and stronger auditors. We considered, the big 4, since already one inside, the KPMG. So we don't want another one, the EY or company comes and, compete each other.
Okay. Well, so that's some clout, I guess, for the big 4. Okay. You said that this whole thing was because you had this next 5 years plan, which is very important. What are these plans for the next 5 years?
As I told, actually, KPMG, we have appointed, for our business future plans till 25, coming 7 years. So our plan is to increase our production capacity, almost 3 times. So we are expecting 23-24 gradually increasing to 2.2 million pieces from current production of 600,000 pieces. So that's not in one stage. So, every year, we have a clear plan where to invest and increase the capacity. Parallelly, we have tied up, with all customer base, to meet that requirement. And buyer side, we have already committed orders for, these 2.2 million pieces, going forward. Now the market situation in India is very strong because of the Trump's policy. He imposed China huge duty on that. So most of the textile and, production is moving to India and other countries. Now, last, 2-3 months, we are having that pulse, that, a lot of buyers, they want to freeze their quantities for the coming years. So I cannot disclose the customers, but, whatever the expansion now, we are committed, to the customers.
I understand the commitment to the customers, but if you look at the operations itself, in the consolidated numbers for FY18, there's not been too much of a top-line move. How would you explain that?
Actually, one of our customers, Toys R Us, they filed a liquidation petition. See, that is happened in March. So some of the goods stuck and, we are just in the process of, recovering that debt, because we already mentioned in the balance sheet and the board report, we are in the process. Otherwise, we actually, we would have touched, 12% growth, this year, 12 to 15%.
Okay, so is that why you have such a high level of receivables, 123 crores against, 88 crores previously? For a company like yours, which a strong position, shouldn't you be able to bring the receivables down?
That's a general situation now. See, the terms are fixed for globally, for every buyers. Whatever, we are stronger, we cannot negotiate because that's their company internal policy. Because, if they fix, 90 days, they cannot change 60 days for Kitex. That's the standard, policy for that company. So, because, they control their inventory, basically, initially we all, worked with the LC then no one operating LC now, okay? And then they increased, the terms from 30 days to 60 days and some customers, but in our case, 60 days, is the maximum. But, some customers, even they are using, 90 days. But, they cannot change, whatever you are stronger, but, they cannot change their, policy on that.
Okay, all right. So 60 days in terms of receivables. Thank you for giving us those clarifications, Mr. Jacob. Thanks for joining in. That's the word coming in from Kitex Garments. We'll do one thing. We'll take a short break. When we come back, Devin Choksi will be with us. He'll talk about some fundamentals and we'll also have the pre-opening rates kick in. Stay with us.